Okay, so here we have the second and third generation of VR headset from Pimax. The 8KX launched in 2019 and the Pimax Crystal announced last year and going to the market this year. Let's look at the key differences. So one of the key differences are the lenses. The 8KX uses Fresnel lenses to achieve the massive 200 degrees FOV. But the clarity is a little bit less than the Crystal. And also some users have reported there's a little bit distortion on the edge. And then there's none of that on the Crystal. The Crystal uses glass aspheric lenses, so the sweet spot is much bigger and there's no distortion. It's like edge-to-edge clarity. So even if the FOV is a little bit smaller, it feels bigger than it actually is because of the edge-to-edge clarity. So will racing simmers and flight simmers prefer the Crystal over the 8KX despite the slightly lower FOV? I have no doubt they will, because the FOV still fills your whole vision and the clarity is just so much better. So plus they're interchangeable, so if you damage your lenses you don't have to throw away the whole headset, you can replace the lenses. Plus you can fit different PPD, you can fit different FOV, you can fit prescription lenses also, so that's a big benefit of the Crystal. Another big difference are the panels. They look similar at first because the 8KX has this many pixels and the Crystal has this many pixels, but the Crystal uses QLED and mini LED for a much higher color range. The clarity is much higher, the pixel density is much higher, and it has local dimming, so the blacks are really black. So the vision you see is much more vibrant in colors and higher in clarity. Another big difference is the way it's tracked. The 8KX has outside-in tracking, so to have this working you need something like base stations, but the Crystal has inside-out tracking. So there are 4 cameras on the Crystal. You don't need any base stations. You can in the future with the lighthouse cover, but that's optional. You don't need any base stations. It's on the headset. So the audio solution is quite similar. Even the cable where it plugs in is very similar, even though the Crystal has this easier to use plug. You can see the cable goes here also on the back. That's very similar. The adjuster, and they both have top strap. That's all very similar. Even the power button is in the same location, and the volume adjustment. The Crystal you can set the IPD here and also auto IPD, whereas the 8KX you set the IPD here. But this is quite similar except the back. We saw with the 8KX a lot of users, they put counterweights on the back to level out the weight balance for more comfort. The Crystal has a battery in the back, which is powering the XR2 chip, which enables the standalone mode, but also for PC VR the battery has a lot of benefits because it's doing the inside-out tracking. And in the future it's also going to support wireless PC VR with the optional AirLink 60G module. Regardless of much higher clarity on the Crystal compared to the 8KX, I also feel the Crystal is much more like a system compared to more a monitor. In the future there will be exchangeable face plates, see-through and lighthouse cover. It is doing the inside-out tracking on board. Plus with the upcoming Viking module you can do wireless PC VR, and there's of course a standalone mode. The Crystal does dynamic foveated rendering using both hardware and software to reduce GPU load and increase FPS. This feature is compatible with nearly all current VR games. So the 8KX was primarily a monitor, and the Crystal is much more like a full system.